Good day, grade 8. Today we're going to look at an NS paper, Natural Sciences, our November examination. Marks is 17, duration is 1.5 hours. First page instructions there. Then we're going to proceed to multiple choice questions. So the first question there is about a rainbow. It says a rainbow is the result of light reflection on dash in the air, right? So we should know by now it should be water droplets, right? So let's go through our options. Option number one, it says solid particles, incorrect. Gas particles, also incorrect. So our option C, they says water droplets, which is correct then. Then D there is going to be incorrect. So our correct answer is going to be option C. So 1.2 is a material that loses, so a material that loses electrons. So we're losing electrons there becomes discharged, right? So it means now if we are to lose electrons, we're going to have more protons. And remember, electrons are negatively charged. These, they have got a negative charge. And then if we are to lose them, it means now we're going to be left with what? More protons than what? Than electrons. And protons are positively charged. So our answer there should be a positively charged, right? So if we were to go to options there, it says option A is going to be positively charged. Neutrally, so if they are neutral, it means the number of protons are equal to the number of electrons, then the less, and then the negatively charged is whenever a material gains electrons. If it gains electrons, it becomes what? Negatively charged. So our correct answer there is going to be positively charged. Then moving on to question 1.3, there says a translucent substance or object, what does it do? So option A says absorbs all light, which is incorrect there. It says here does not allow light to pass through. So a translucent object allows light to pass through. So C says here allows some light to pass through. Yes. So our option C is the correct option there. It says allows some, right? Some light to pass through. So it's the correct option then. Then moving on to D says allows light to pass through So here, the most important thing that you note is says allows some light. So it's supposed to be some of the light to pass through. Then the long name of salt is, right? So here we're given an acronym and then we are supposed to know the long term of it, right? So the long name of it says A there, Southern African large South African large telescope, right? So our option A is incorrect. Then B says southern, right? So yes, it should be Southern Africa, a large telescope, right? So our option B is the correct one there, right? So this is going to be our correct option, option B. Then C says South and Africa large telescope. Then D also said Southern Airways large telescopes. They are all incorrect. So our option B is the correct option. Moving on to 1.5 says here, the satellite that uses light is known as A or N, right? So our option D is the one that is referred to as an optical telescope, right? So whenever you see light there, so a satellite that uses light is referred to as what? An optical telescope, right? So let's look at our options there. So it says A, pocket telescope, incorrect. Round telescope, incorrect. Radio telescope, incorrect. Then our option D there says optical telescope. So our option D is the correct one. Then moving on to question 2, which is now our topic there is energy transfer in electrical systems, right? So it says use the diagram to show to answer some of the questions that follow, right? So we're given here a cell there, and then here we're having a cathode and an anode. So usually a cathode there, I can just say is positively charged, then an anode is going to be negatively charged, right? So now you can see here we're having negative chloride ions, and then this other side we're having positive copper ions, right? Then here as a solution there, or an electrolyte, we're having a copper 2 chloride solution, right? Then B here on diagram B there, we are going to have an electromagnet and then a car, then a crane, and then the generator there. Then now 2.1 says, what solution is used in investigation A? So we're focusing on investigation A, and then the solution is given there. So our solution there, I'm going to say copper 2 chloride solution. I'm going to say copper to there, then chloride is solution, right? So chloride. So solution, right? So that's our answer there. We're given as copper 2 chloride solution. Then 2.2 says, what effect of electricity is being investigated in A, right? So this is our A, remember. So the effect of electricity that we are looking for there is the chemical effect of electrical current. The effects, chemical effects of current, electric current. Then now moving on to the next one, which is 2.3. What are the charges of the two electrodes, right? Already I've mentioned at the top there, I said the other one, the cathode is positive and then the anode is negative. So I'm going to write the answers there as the first one is being positive and then the next one positive and negative, right? So these are our answers for question 2.3. Then 2.4 is there. Which effects of electric current is shown in crane B, right? So now we're focusing at diagram B there, right? So 2.4 says, which effects of electric current is shown in the crane B, right? So can you see there, we're using an electromagnet to lift upward this car there, right? So it means our answer there is going to be the magnetic effect. So 2.4, I'm going to say the magnetic effects, the magnetic effect of electric current. So that's what we're using there. Then moving on to 2.5, it says, what is the role of the generator in the crane? So we're given a generator there, and then the role there, they're asking about the function of this generator. What's the function of this generator? Is to produce electric current. Remember, whenever there is no power, you can make use of a generator to give you what? A power there, right? So generates what? Electricity. So it's there to produce the electric current. Then moving on to question 2.6 says study the diagram shown below and answer the questions that follow. So we're going to look at this there. We're given an electric magnet there. Then this is the compass and all. Then this one formulates a battery there. Then also on B here, also having our battery, then it shows that there is a deflection, right? So our compass there at A, it was neutral there. Then after that, now at B there is a deflection, right? So also take note of the switch here. The switch here is actually open, right? So I can say this is the switch, and then here the switch is what is closed, right? So this is closed. On this other end here is open, right? So once you close that switch there is a deflection, right? So now 6.1 is there. Which effects of electric current is being shown in the diagram above, right? So it means this, the magnetic effects again, is the magnetic effect of electric current, like that, right? So if you can look here, we're having that battery there or that cell there. Then after that, now we're having that coiled wire around what this steel there. So now we're going to investigate what the magnetic effect of what of electric current, right? So why is the compass not deflected when the switch is open? So here at A. Here, if I consider this one as A there is no deflection there. Why? Is because the switch is open, right? So it is because there is no current flowing through, right? There is no electric current, no electric current. There is no electric current flowing to create a magnetic field. To create allow me to continue at the top there, magnetic field, right? So you can see the switch is open, so there is no current that is actually what flowing. Then 6.3, they said here, discuss how the electromagnet in A is created, right? So this is our A there. How is that created, right? So I'm going to say when current flows, when current flows, what happens whenever current flows in the circuit, okay? It creates, a magnetic field. Magnetic magnetic field. Okay, so it creates a magnetic field. Uh, like that, right? So discuss how the electromagnet in A is created, right? So when the current flows in the circuit, it creates a magnetic field, right? So that's how the electromagnet in A is created, right? Then 2.7 there, it says, what is the third effect of electric current that you have studied, right? So the third effect of the this one there, the third effects of electric current that you have studied, right? So now we're also going to say this is referred to as the heating effect, right? So it's going to be our effect heating effect. Now, moving on to question number 3 there, we're having different types of cells there. We're going to say a series and a parallel circuit, right? So if we were to look at our A there, we can see that current is only one path for each one to flow there. So this one is going to formulate a series circuit there. That's going to be a series circuit. Let me write that one properly there. Series circuit. Then if we were to move on to B there, you can see our current has got more than one path to flow, right? So some of it is going to move in this direction, then some of it is going to move in that direction, and then C again, same applies. Then they're saying in which two circuits are the resistors connected in parallel, right? So you can see here our current is going to split into different parts like that, right? So now we're going to say here we're having parallel because there is more than one path for current to flow. Therefore, I'm going to say this one is parallel, right? So in which two circuits? So we're looking for main circuits there, two circuits, right? Series connected in parallel, right? So from the above, we can see we said B and C, right? Then which of the three circuits has the lowest resistance, right? So which one of these is going to have the lowest resistance, right? So it's going to be our circuit C, the circuit C, right? So the one that is going to have the highest is going to be our A there, right? So like that. Then remember also how you calculate this one series circuit there. So in a series circuit, we're going to say resistors in series is equivalent to R1 plus R2, right? So resistors in parallel, the formula is 1 over Rp is equivalent to 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2, right? So we are going to add these resistors like that. Then question 3.3 says there, what is the variable in circuit B and C? What is the variable in circuit B and C there, right? So we're looking for the variable in circuit B and C, right? So now the variable there is going to be, if you look at B there, we are going to have resistor 1 and resistor number 2. Then here we're having 1, 2, 3. So now the variable is going to be the number of resistors, right? So the number of resistors like that. Okay, then 3.4 says what is kept the same in the three circuits, right? So now if you can see here, we're having only one cell. Again, here is one cell, and the third there at C is one cell, right? So I'm going to say the answer there is the number of cells, right? The number of cells like that. Okay, so that's our answer then. Then moving on to 3.5 says, how does adding a light bulb affect resistance in circuit B and C, right? How does adding a light bulb, so we are adding a light bulb, affect a resistance in B and C, right? So now it means here if you add that one there, it's going to decrease the resistance, right? So adding a resistor decreases the resistance, right? So it decreases the resistance. So there's going to be less resistance there, right? Then resistance is the opposition of flow of what? Of current. And then what is a parallel circuit, right? So here in terms of this, it is a circuit in which I'm going to say it is a circuit. It is, so we're looking at B and C. It's more of defining B and C. So I'm going to say it is a circuit. Okay, it is a circuit in which electric current, current is more than one path to flow. Yes, more than one path to flow. Like that, right? So we've got more than one path for current to flow. Then moving on to question number 4. Question number 4 is visible light, right? So study the diagram below and answer the question that follow, right? So now we've got our white light there, then this is the glass prism, then here we're having our frequency, which is low frequency, then here at the bottom there, we have got a high frequency, right? So there we can see there is a bit of like this squeezed, and then here we've got what we refer to as a longer wavelength, right? So as time goes on, we learn about that one there, right? So now in terms of this there, we're going to look at the wavelengths. You can see that's our wavelength there that is being given there, right? So now they are asking the first question, that what is the visible light, right? So that part there, right? So what is the visible light, right? So it means is the light visible to the human eye? It is the light that is visible, visible to the human eye, to the human eye, like that. Okay. Then 4.1.2 is the which color is in the visible light has the highest frequency, right? So which color in the visible light has the highest frequency? So our answer there is going to be our red, right? So I'm going to say the answer is red, like that, right? So it means this is the one that has got the uh, highest frequency, right? So in terms of that, there we can see here what do we have there. Let's look at this again. So it says here, if I can erase, which color of the visible light has the highest frequency? Okay. So now if we were to look at the top there, right? So it means now at the top there we're having our color, which is red, right? So right there you can see it means it aligns with this part there, which is the lowest frequency. And then the one at the bottom there, which is our violet, is going to be the one with the highest frequency. So it means now I'm going to say our color there is a violet there, right? Then moving on to say mention any two colors of the visible light, right? So mention any two colors of the visible light, right? So we're having R for red. So you're going to say red, then orange. You can pick any from these: red, orange, yellow. I'm going to say green in their order: green, and then we've got blue, and then indigo, and then lastly, we have got our violet, like that, violet, like that, right? So you just like pick two from there, right? Then what is the relationship between frequency and wavelength, right? What is the relationship between frequency and wavelength, right? So the relationship is that the longer the wavelength, the longer the wavelength, right? Okay. So the longer the wavelength, the lower the frequency, the lower the frequency. Okay, try. So if we can look at this part there, so at the top there, you can see here, what are we having there? We're having a high frequency there, right? So in terms of our wavelength there, it's going to be shorter. Generally, what we're talking about the wavelength, we're talking about the distance from this crest to this one to this crest, right? So here you can see the distance is a bit longer. So if it's longer there, we're going to have a low frequency. But if they're close together there, it means now we're having a shorter wavelength. Therefore, it's going to be a higher frequency. Then moving on to 4.2. 4.2 says use the diagram to answer the questions that follow, right? So now we have got incident ray there, then we also have our reflected ray there, so then the normal there, right? So this is our mirror. Then what does I represent? So our I there represents our angle of incidence, right? So I'm going to say angle. This is the angle of incidence, like that, right? Then after that, now we also look at 4.2. It says, what does this R represent, right? So it's going to be the angle of reflection, right? Angle of reflection, angle of reflection. Then moving on to 4.2.3 says, state the law of reflection, right? So reflection there. So refraction is the bending of light. It is the bending of light as it enters uh, a new medium. As it enters a new medium, a new medium like that. Okay. So moving on to 4.3 says study the diagram and answer the questions that follow. So now we're asked in terms of refraction, refraction there, it says here 3.1, right? 4.3.1 there, it says here refraction. So refraction is defined as the bending of light. It is the bending of light, bending of light, bending of light, bending of light as it enters a new medium, as it enters a new medium like that, right? So we can see here there is a bend there because of this different what medium there, right? So why does the top part of the pencil seem to bend, right? So why does the top part seem to bend, right? So our answer, it is because light bends as it enters the water. Light bends as it enters, as it enters water, right? So what are we talking about there? We're now referring to the same thing as the new medium, like that, right? Then 4.3.3 says here, what are the two medias in the diagram, right? So now the first here is passing through, I can say A. So the first part, I'm going to say A. Then the second part, I'm going to say the glass there, right? I'm going to say A and glass, like that. So these are our answers. Then moving on to 4 or 5.5 there, it says here 5.5 solar system, right? So use the diagram to answer some of the questions that follow. So we've got our terrestrial planets, and then we are also having our gas planets, which are referred to as our giants, right? So made of the hydrogen and helium gas, and then less dense and than terrestrial what planets there. Then you have got a metal core. These are our terrestrial planets, a rocky mantle, and then a thin outer crust, then thin atmosphere, right? So they are asking us to mention two gas planets, right? So our two gas planets there are going to be I'm going to give examples there of these ones, right? So I'm going to say maybe Jupiter. I will start with Jupiter, and then I'm also maybe say Neptune, then I will also say Uranus, and then lastly, I can say is Saturn, right? Like that. Okay. So these are examples. You just like pick two from this one. They say discuss the difference between terrestrial planets and gas planets, right? So in terms of this 5.2 there, we are just a matter of like referring to these at the top there. So you're going to pick any there. These are your answers. We are already given. So terrestrial, you can say they have got a metal core or a rocky mantle, then you have got a thin outer crust there, and then thin atmosphere. Then also you can pick on the other one, which is our gas planets there. You have the answers for gas planets they are given on this other one, and then for terrestrial is the one on this other end. So you just like pick those from there. Then 5.3 says which planet is the closest to the sun, right? So the planet that is closest to the sun is referred to as Mercury. So discuss why the year in Mercury is longer than its day, right? It is because Mercury spins slower than it rotates. So that's our answer then. Then 5.5 says which planets have rings around them, right? So now which planets have got rings around them, right? So now I'm going to say all gas planets. So all gas planets, they've got rings around them. All gas planets have rings around them, right? So now we're talking about all these at the top there, where we're talking about your Jupiter, we're talking about your Uranus and all, right? Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn. These are some of examples of what? Of our guest planets. Then 6.1 there is there, 6.1 is there. Which one is bigger? Which one is bigger between a galaxy and a universe, right? So which one is bigger between a galaxy and a universe, right? So the universe is bigger. So universe is bigger than a galaxy. A universe is bigger than a galaxy. Then 6.2 is there. How many stars form a galaxy? Right. So from 10,000. So I'm going to say from 10,000, like that, right? To a trillion stars, to a trillion stars, to a trillion stars, stars there, sorry, to a trillion stars form a galaxy, form a galaxy, like that. Then moving on to 6.3 says, what is the shape of the Milky Way galaxy. What is the shape of this one? So it has got a spiral shape. Spiral shape. Right. So this is the shape of the Milky Way galaxy. Then discuss the most suitable conditions for looking into space. Right. So the sky has to be clear. So I'm going to say clear sky. Then I'm going to say no lights. I'm going to say no lights again, and then let's talk about pollution. I'm going to say also less pollution, right? So less pollution. Okay. So having said that, now we're done with our paper. Hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for watching.